Hey guys, thank you so much for 100 subscribers. This is my 100 subscribers special. It's the first out of two. Hope you all enjoy it, and let's get right into it. Welcome back guys, this is the King of Weebs here, and today I will be starting off a new What If series. What if Naruto was born with half hot and half cold? So for this what if to make some logic sense, I am going to have Minato have wind style and water style, and as well as lightning style, while Kushina will have a wind style, water style, and also fire style. So Minato will be half Uzumaki and half uh, Hatake. So he will have red and white hair, just like Naruto, and he will have the Kekkei to use ice style. But he barely uses it because he has the flying Raijin, while his mother Kushina will have mostly red hair because she's a full Uzumaki, but she has fire style, and she has a Kekkei where she can use fire style without using any hand seals. So in this what if, when Naruto is born, he will have white hair and red hair just like Todoroki, but the only difference is the scar. He doesn't have a scar on his eye. So Naruto is born as normal, and the Nine-Tails still is sealed inside of him, and for most of his life the villagers do hate him, and the kids bully him. He gets abused by the older villagers, and Naruto will start training at the age of 6 because he wants to get stronger and protect himself from the villagers attacking him and harming him. So Naruto does end up finding out that he has a quirk that he can use fire on his right side and ice on his left side, and this is called the Kekkei in the Naruto world, but in the My Hero Academia universe it is called a quirk, if no one knew about that. So if anyone gets confused, now they will know. Naruto starts training with his ability, and he uses his ice ability in the day when he's in the woods and training, but he only uses his fire ability at night near a pond, so no one will ever notice him using it, and they won't report it to anyone. So Naruto kept his training regiment up for 2 more years until he enrolled into the academy, and the kids there think Naruto looks like a monster, and their parents have told them not to get anywhere near Naruto, but there were a few exceptions, who were Choji, Shikamaru, Hinata, and Shino, who found Naruto cool for having that natural hair, because they've never seen anyone with hair like Naruto's who haven't dyed it or anything, but it's completely natural. So they found Naruto really cool and want to be his friend. Now even Hinata came to talk to Naruto and try making friends with him, and Naruto didn't really mind being friends with her since he had none until this point. And there is also another reason why Hinata didn't really hate Naruto, or why she didn't think he was a monster, and that is because when they were 4, Hinata was getting bullied by some kids at the park for having the Byakugan and having white eyes, and Naruto saw this and he came to her rescue. So Hinata ever since liked Naruto and always admired Naruto's courage. So Hinata never really hated Naruto, but instead she admired Naruto's courage and was really intrigued by Naruto, because she did spy on him a few times in the past 2 years, and she did notice him training, but she didn't really notice him using the Kekkei because Naruto disappeared when he went to train to do that. He did go to a forest remote to the village where Hinata wasn't allowed to go. So Hinata never followed him there. Naruto is still bad at chakra control because of the nine tail, and he isn't able to do what normal academy students are able to do, and he is really frustrated at this and starts asking advice to his friends. He's only 4 friends, and Naruto first asks Shikamaru because he's the smartest out of all 4 of them, and Shikamaru does tell him a few tips and tricks to not let out too much chakra and try to control it instead of just letting it out like a maniac. And Naruto does try that and he gets a bit better at it, but it still doesn't work. So Naruto decides to go to the Hokage's office one day after school, and just a reminder, this is like a year after the academy begins, so they are already on the 2nd year of the academy. So Naruto now is 9. So Naruto one day heads up to the Hokage's office after the academy is over, and he asks Hiruzen if he can help him learn more about chakra control. And Hiruzen is really happy to hear that Naruto is willing to learn more about the things that he's learning at the academy, and he helps Naruto out. He asks Naruto what exactly he needs to learn, and Naruto says the clone jutsu. So Hiruzen asks Naruto to show him what he's got, and Naruto tries to do the clone jutsu, but he just ends up making a clone like the one he did in his exam in the original. So Hiruzen gives Naruto some exercises to do every morning for a week and tells him to come back to him and show him his progress. So Naruto does this for a whole week, and he's starting to get the hang of it, and he does go back to Hiruzen and shows him what he's got. His clone has improved. This time his clone was standing up, but he still looked the same. So Hiruzen realized maybe this is because of the 9 tails disrupting Naruto's chakra. So the 3rd Hokage decides to give Naruto a higher ranked clone jutsu, so basically the shadow clone jutsu. He really didn't want to do this, but he has to, because Naruto needs to become a ninja to be useful to the village, and his dream is to become the Hokage. So Hiruzen decides to help out Naruto by giving him the shadow clone jutsu, and tells Naruto to practice it in here. No one's gonna come in here for a few hours, so Naruto stays with the 3rd Hokage and practices. So Naruto starts practicing and stays there for a few hours until he can make 1 shadow clone. Since he is drained and he used all of his chakra, he used the last bit of it to make 1 shadow clone, which he was able to make perfectly. And right before Naruto was about to collapse, Hiruzen tells him, if you keep doing your exercises, your chakra control will get even better, and you will be able to make more shadow clones. And then Naruto collapses and Hiruzen panics because he thinks Naruto is ill or something. But then realizes that Naruto is just drained, and he takes him back to his home and realizes how Naruto lives in such a bad state that he is malnourished because he only eats ramen and milk and drinks milk. I mean, milk is good and all, that's what he thinks in his head, but then he said, like, well, he does have ramen the whole time. So Hiruzen starts to think how he could help to improve Naruto's living conditions, but then he realizes he made Naruto live on his own for the past 9 years of his life, except for when he was a baby. Of course, he took care of him back then, but once he became 4, he left him in this apartment, and Naruto grew by himself for 5 years, and this is what he's been doing for the past 5 years. And Hiruzen realizes that he made a mistake by letting Naruto, such a young kid, start living on his own, and decides to take him in his own household, not completely adopt him, because he knows Jiraiya is his godfather, but raise him like a proper ninja and train him like a proper ninja. Hiruzen wants to atone for his mistakes he made for the past 5 years of letting Naruto live on his own, so he wants to let Naruto grow up like a normal child would, and he would allow his sons to train Naruto at times, but most of the times he will be training Naruto. So Hiruzen stays the night at Naruto's place and cleans his home, and the next morning Naruto wakes up to see a clean apartment, and Naruto's like, "What happened here, old man?" And Hiruzen's like, "I cleaned it up because you will be moving." And Naruto's like, "What? Why would I be moving now? I've been living here for 5 years." And Hiruzen's like, "You will be living with me from now on, and I will be taking care of you because I've realized I made a mistake by letting you live here for 5 years on your own, when you were just 4 years old, and you're still 9, you're still a child. You deserve to grow up like a normal kid." So Naruto is kind of happy that the third Hokage wants him to have a normal childhood, and Naruto starts crying a bit because he is really happy that someone actually wants to take care of him. And Hiruzen understands that Naruto has gone through a lot when he lived alone. Imagine just a 4-year-old. Imagine you being 4 years old and living on your own in an apartment on your own. So Hiruzen hugs Naruto and says, "Don't worry, Naruto, everything will be okay." And he tells Naruto to pack his things and that he will be moving out next week. So Naruto starts packing his things, and then he realizes he has to go to the academy because he still wants to learn. This Naruto is a bit more serious about learning, not as a ninja, but just learning, because he thinks learning is everything to become a ninja. So learning in the academy will make him a good ninja. So Naruto, in a week, packs all his things and moves out to Hiruzen's place. He sees Hiruzen's home and says, "Wow, this house is so big. I've never seen something like this in my whole life." And then Hiruzen says, "It's pretty much a normal home, Naruto. You shouldn't really get too excited. There's nothing too exciting here." And Naruto says, "It's way bigger than my old apartment." And Hiruzen says, "I agree, Naruto." And Naruto still does his normal training in the morning, and Hiruzen is really happy about this, that Naruto is taking his ninja life really seriously, and then remembers something that Kushina and Minato once told him, that they have a Kekkei where Kushina can release fire without doing any hand seals or any jutsu name, while Minato can do the same but with ice style, which really intrigues Hiruzen, and Hiruzen wants to know more about this and wants to know if Naruto can use it himself. Hiruzen is really interested, but he doesn't want to invade Naruto's privacy, so he keeps that to himself until one day he notices Naruto walking out the home late at night. This is during his academy holidays, in the summer holidays, what we call summer holidays. They just call it academy holidays. It's still 6 weeks, but Naruto heads out at night because he wants to train with it. He hasn't been training with his fire techniques in a month, and he doesn't want to slack off in his personal training, and he goes out. And Hiruzen does follow him because he's worried about Naruto and he doesn't know what Naruto's about to do. So Hiruzen is on a tree watching Naruto, while Naruto unleashes his strength onto the pond, and the pond starts emitting vapor because of Naruto's the heat Naruto just emitted out of his Kekkei or Quirk. And then Naruto tries to freeze a tree, and not only did he freeze the tree, but he made a whole iceberg, but then realizes that he cannot have this and he will get in trouble for this, and so he uses his fire Quirk on the iceberg, and the iceberg melts, but he does burn the tree a bit. And Hiruzen sees the tree burning, and realizes if he doesn't do something, the tree will start a little forest fire, because there were trees around. It wasn't like a forest, it was like a small green area. And Hiruzen says water style, wa- water bomb jutsu. Yes, it's a water bomb. And he puts out the fire, and Naruto realizes that he got caught training. So Hiruzen's suspicions were answered by seeing Naruto do this, and asks Naruto when did he learn this and how. And Naruto does tell him the truth, that he was getting bullied when he was 6 years old. He was getting bullied by some kids, and villagers were abusing him and harming him. And then Hiruzen knew about the bullying but not about the harming, and he got really angry but he didn't show it. And he said, why didn't you tell me, Naruto? I could have helped you. And Naruto's like, I wanted to get stronger on my own. And then one day when I was training in the woods by myself, training in my strength, I was falling. No, I was sorry. Naruto just unleashed an ice and Naruto unleashed his ice quirk, and he did freeze a tree. And Naruto was really worried about this, and he just left the tree. And then the next morning he sees water everywhere and realizes the ice must have melted. And Hiruzen's like, why didn't you ever tell me this? And Naruto says, I wanted to keep this private, and wanted to keep it a secret until I became a ninja and used it in my missions. So Hiruzen understands that Naruto just wanted some privacy and apologizes for invading his privacy. And they go back home, and tells Naruto that he can still continue training at night, but only if Hiruzen is there. And Naruto's like, okay, but don't you need your rest? And Hiruzen's like, I do, but at times we can do it. And Naruto says, can we do it 4 times a week? And Hiruzen approves of that. He says, okay, 4 times a week only though. But then Naruto tells Hiruzen that sometimes he goes train in the day, only his ice power. And Hiruzen says the ice power isn't too dangerous unless you use it on people, so just use it on rocks and trees from now on. And Naruto says that's what I've always been doing for the past 3 years. And then Hiruzen says that's fine. And once Naruto goes to his room and Hiruzen goes to his room, Hiruzen is really excited for Naruto's progress, and he's really happy that Naruto is progressing this fast, and he already knew how to use both his mother's and father's powers from the age of 6. So Hiruzen goes to sleep because he wants Naruto to meet his family the next day, and wants Naruto to get used to his family, since he is planning on Naruto to consider them as his own family. So Hiruzen is basically wanting Naruto. He's going to tell Naruto the next morning that they will be moving in a bigger house, because Hiruzen's grandson always wants to see him so much, and that can't be done if they live too far. So he's moving in with them, and Naruto will come with him, and they will live under the same roof. And Hiruzen did tell his family about Naruto being with him, and he told them about letting Naruto live on his own for 5 whole years when he was just 4, so he couldn't really grow up correctly. He never ate well, so he never grew up strong like a normal child would. And Naruto lived by himself for 5 years, so he never felt love in his life, someone caring about him, someone worrying about him if he came too late home. If he ever came late, he wouldn't ever see someone waiting for him, shouting at him, yelling at him telling him to be on time next time. And Hiruzen's family tried to put themselves in Naruto's shoes and imagine themselves living by themselves for 4 years, with the whole village neglecting them, never talking to him or her. And they accept the fact that Naruto will become their part of their family, and they understand that Naruto has been through so much, and so they do tell Hiruzen that they don't mind having Naruto in their house because they understand that Naruto has been through way too much for them to neglect him as well, and Naruto has been neglected enough. So they wouldn't be so they tell him they won't be disgusted by Naruto having the 9 tails, but they will treat him as their own child. So Naruto tomorrow he's going to feel love for the first time, a like family love, like some, for example, like you know how we feel love for our parents and our parents love us. He's going to feel that for the first time, and Hiruzen's really ecstatic for Naruto, and he wants Naruto to feel that love that everyone felt once in their life at least. And he wants Naruto to grow up because he pretty much he thinks the same way as Haku. He thinks that if you have someone precious in your life, you are stronger. Just like him, he finds everyone in the Leaf Village precious, so he is stronger by just thinking of protecting them. So the next morning arrives, and Hiruzen goes to wake up Naruto to see Naruto already doing his chakra control training, and Hiruzen has a smile in his face and tells Naruto to get washed up, have a shower, and get ready to move. And Naruto's like, what do you mean move? And so basically Hiruzen tells him about the housing, the moving of houses again, and that Hiruzen's grandson Konohamaru always wants to be with him, and Hiruzen can't really be with him since he lives pretty far from them. So from now on Hiruzen will live with them, but it will still be near the Hokage office, Hokage tower, so he can still go to work. And so by noon they have everything packed and they move out, and by around 1:30 ish they arrive to the new house. Naruto is welcomed with a warm hug from Konohamaru's mom. I'm not going to say her name. I'm not sure if it's ever been mentioned, and I don't think you guys really care. And Konohamaru asks his granddad, who is this? And Hiruzen tells him this will be your older brother Naruto from now on. And Naruto's like, older brother? What does he mean in his mind? Because he doesn't really want to offend them, or to make them think that he doesn't want to be part of their family. And then Konohamaru's mom tells them that they will adopt Naruto, and from now on they will be brothers, and which makes Naruto's eyes tear up, and he wipes tears off, and Konohamaru's mom tells him not to cry, and that from now on he will be loved, even if everyone else neglects him. He will always have them. So Naruto is getting used to his new lifestyle and is starting to realize that now that he has a family, he wants to protect his younger brother and mother, and even his grandfather, though he is stronger than him, and he loves them. He loves all three of them dearly, and he would give his life up for them. And he starts training more intensively. His chakra control training, he does it for longer periods of time, and he wakes up even earlier, so he's not even late to class. And he realizes that even though he's training as hard as he is now, he's not going to get anywhere without someone teaching him actual ninjutsu. And he goes to Hiruzen, which is now his grandfather, and asks him to train him even hard, train him intensively and teach him new jutsus and help him improve, which makes Hiruzen curious on why all of a sudden Naruto wants to train even harder. So Naruto tells Hiruzen how he has been feeling these past few weeks, and Hiruzen is really proud of Naruto's growth and how he's starting to develop his thinking. So Hiruzen decides to actually train Naruto in his Kekkei. So first Hiruzen asks Naruto to put his chakra into the chakra paper he gave him, and Naruto's like okay, and he splits in half. Also, he becomes wet and he starts burning. And Hiruzen's like he's only 9 years old and he already has 3 chakra natures. So then Hiruzen's like, let's try that again. And this time Naruto's paper just not crumbles. The paper becomes scrunched, so he shows that he has lightning style, fire style, wind style, and water style, which are pretty much his father and mother's, because his father had a wind style, water style, and lightning style, while his mother had wind style, water style, and fire style. So he can see Kushina and Minato in Naruto, and he's really sad that he let them die, but he wants to make it up to them by training their son. So now Hiruzen is training Naruto, and Naruto is 11 years old. Yes, Naruto is 11 years old. He has been training under Hiruzen for the past 2 years, and Naruto has learned a lot of new jutsus. For example, the wind style, wind gale palm, the fireball jutsu, the water shockwave, the lightning style to use after the water shockwave. Also, Hiruzen teaches him the basics of the water dragon jutsu, and shows Naruto his 5 style combo jutsu, which is him doing 5 shadow clones and using all the 5 chakra natures. And Naruto says that's really cool, and Hiruzen says he could learn it, but it wouldn't be as strong since he only has 4 chakra natures. And Naruto asks, how can I unlock a 5th one? And Hiruzen says you can't really unlock it. It just comes naturally to some people, and some people inherit it from their heritage. So like Hiruzen doesn't tell him about Minato being his father and Kushina being his mother, because he doesn't want to tell Naruto yet. He's too young and he might get angry at Hiruzen for not telling him before, so he's waiting for Naruto to become more mature and telling him. So Hiruzen says your father and mother probably had those 4 chakra natures, maybe 2 each or 3 each. And Naruto's like, oh, I understand. So Naruto now trains even harder because he wants to protect his new family, and he doesn't want them to die or something bad to happen to them, because he knows he wouldn't be able to cope with their deaths, and he probably would commit suicide because he loves them dearly and he would give his life up for them, like I said before. So now Hiruzen realizes Naruto is getting a lot older and his graduation exam is about to come up, and he knows Naruto will pass with flying colors, but he wants to teach Naruto a bit more before he becomes a proper ninja. So Hiruzen asks Naruto, how about we have a friendly spar? And Naruto's like, okay. And Hiruzen's like, I want you to go all out. And Naruto's like, so do you want me to use my Kekkei powers? And Hiruzen's like, if that's your full power, yes. So Naruto, in these past years, he has been training secretly at night. He doesn't show it, but Hiruzen has been noticing Naruto going out, and he knows he's training, and so he looks through his glass ball in case Naruto sets something on fire again. So Naruto has been training in his Kekkei, and he's starting to learn how to use them together as one Kekkei. So fire, an ice, so like an ice pillar that can impale people with fire That's how Naruto's been training. It's like Todoroki in Boku no Hero Academia. If you watched season 2, the sports festival, that's how Naruto trains. He trains like Todoroki, just like he uses his fire side as well, unlike Todoroki, until he versus Midoriya. I really love Todoroki. He's probably my favorite character in My Hero Academia. He's just so cool, especially when he uses his ice. He looks so badass, especially in the sports festival. So Naruto is like Todoroki now. His physical strength is a lot higher. So I'd say Naruto is like double the strength of tuning exams Naruto by now. I know it's a big jump, but Naruto has been training intensively for the past 3 years. Yeah, because now he's about to be 12 and his graduation is coming up. So Naruto's graduation comes up and he is tested and he passes, which ruins Mizuki's plans because Naruto didn't really show his potential. He isn't the dead last anymore, but he is now like in the middle around Choji, and Shikamaru was around the top. So the Naruto passes and Mizuki goes after some random kid that failed. So Naruto is walking through the village after he passed. His mother let him go hang out with his friends, and Naruto hangs out till pretty late because he was in a party with his friends having barbecue because of Choji. So Naruto's walking back all full and he's like, oof, I ate too much. And then he hears Jonin and Chunin shouting, saying, we need to find the scroll of sealing. And then Naruto goes to the Hokage's office and asks what's happening, grandfather. And he tells Naruto that a kid from your class who failed stole the scroll of sealing. So Naruto's like asks his grandfather for permission to go and search for him too. So this is the first arc of Naruto. So basically the belt test arc. Well, it wasn't really an arc, so I will be doing up to there. I have done a script. This is my first ever scripted Naruto What If, so please bear with me if it's shorter than usual, but I'm sure you guys will like it because it is with less stuttering than I usually do. So Naruto searches for the kid and finds him in the forest that he used to train in when he was a kid. Well, he still does train there, but not as much as a kid, because now he trains in near the pond with his fire and ice styles. So Naruto sees the kid and asks the kid why did he steal it, and then he says Mizuki sensei said that if I steal and learn a ninjutsu from here, I will become a genin. And then Naruto tells the genin, the failed student, that there is no shortcuts to becoming a ninja. You have to work hard. And the genin is inspired by Naruto, so the genin will from now on work harder and become a great jonin in the future. He's going to be unknown, by the way. So Naruto says, give me the scroll and I will let you go and I'll bring it back to the third Hokage. And then Mizuki arrives and says, Naruto Uzumaki, how dare you ruin my plans again? And then Naruto's like, what do you mean again? And he says, you were meant to be the one to steal the scroll for me because you were meant to be the dead last. Well, Mizuki thought he was going to be the dead last because he wasn't really keeping up with it, and he thought since Naruto had the 9 tails and wasn't good at chakra control at the beginning of the academy till the second year, he thought Naruto was always going to be the dead last, but that's where he went wrong. So he said, you're just a pest. Naruto never knew about the 9 tails till this moment, and Mizuki tells him, and Naruto's really sad about this, and he does not care, to be honest, because he has his family now and he just wants to protect them. So since Mizuki was so rude to the unknown genin or unknown failed academy student, he had no mercy for him and he did the shadow clone jutsu, and all his shadow clones did He made at least 20 of them, including him, so there were 20. 10 of them use ice style, and the other 10 use fire, his fire side. So Naruto impales Mizuki. He's not dead, but he is bleeding out, and he takes him to third Hokage's office. He takes him to the Jonin that was searching for him. He's like, I found the scroll, I'm taking it to my to the third Hokage, because no one knows that Naruto is now the third Hokage's adopted grandson. So Naruto is now on his way to the third Hokage's office till he realizes maybe he could learn a few jutsus if he's sneaky enough. But the third Hokage can all see him, and he sees Naruto writing down jutsus, and he starts laughing at this and says that Naruto, he always wants to learn even more. And he says he even inspired my younger grandson to start training with him. Yes, Naruto did inspire his younger brother to Konohamaru to start training. So Konohamaru will become a bit way stronger now, because he trains with Naruto and Hiruzen. So Naruto brings back the scroll, acting like, oh, here's the school grandfather, and then Hiruzen just acts dumb and wants to just scare Naruto a bit when he gets home, and he knows Naruto will be learning them. So once he gets home, Naruto is secretly trying to learn the jutsus that he wrote down. He wrote down the flying Raijin, and how to do Naruto learns the flying Raijin from the second Hokage and the fourth Hokage, and he does write down the summoning jutsu. I know it's C rank technique, but it is required. It's not a technique that it's taught to normal ninjas, because it requires a lot of chakra, unless you have something like the ninja hounds, which is easy to summon. So Naruto is caught by Hiruzen, and Hiruzen says, "You sneaky little brat." And Naruto says, "I'm sorry, I'm really sorry." But then Hiruzen just starts laughing and says, "It's alright." And then Naruto asks, how do I do the summoning jutsu? And then Hiruzen says, "You can learn it, but you need a summoning contract." And then Naruto's like, would you give me a summoning contract? And then Hiruzen's like, "I cannot give you one," because Hiruzen, in his mind, he's like, should I just give him the monkey summoning jutsu contract, or should I wait for Jiraiya to teach him how to do the toad one like he taught his father? So in his mind, he believes the right choice would be to wait for Jiraiya, and he says, "No, Naruto, I do not have one with me, but I know someone that does, and he will be visiting the village in a few months. Well, in like around 2 to 3 months." And Naruto's really excited about this, and he's like, "Alright, grandfather." So, and then Naruto asks about this ninjutsu he wrote down. It's called the Flying Raijin, or the Flying Thunder God. And Hiruzen's completely, utterly shocked that Naruto would actually write such a strong ninjutsu, which is an S rank ninjutsu. It bends space and time. And Hiruzen's like, "Naruto, you should never use this ninjutsu. It's really dangerous for your chakra levels." And Naruto's like, but grandfather, my chakra levels are just as high as yours right now." And Hiruzen realizes that Naruto is, Hiruzen knows that Naruto is the Uzumaki, but he wasn't really, he completely forgot the fact that Naruto is an Uzumaki, and remembers that Uzumakis have immense amount of chakra, so he's not too worried anymore. And Hiruzen's like, "You need to learn how to do a seal." And then he says, "I will teach you how to do a seal tomorrow morning, because I am pretty tired now after all that happened tonight." And Naruto's like, "Okay." So Naruto the next morning wakes up, does his chakra control training, and he learns how to do a seal. So Naruto decides to do a seal that looks like the Uzumaki seal, because he still respects that he's an Uzumaki, and his parents must have been Uzumakis too. So now Naruto leaves to go to the academy and says goodbye to his family and says, I'll be back this afternoon. And they say bye Naruto. They all say bye to Naruto, and Konohamaru's mom is like, he grew so fast, and he reasons like, time flies, doesn't it? And Konohamaru's like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, nothing, son. Well, not son. He's like, he reasons nothing. He says, nothing, boy. How about you come and train with me now? And the Konohamaru is excited about training again, and his mom was like, oh, my small Konohamaru, my precious little boy, he's growing up just like Naruto. In a few days they're probably just gonna move out if they keep going like this. And Hiruzen starts laughing at this and says they probably will. And he goes back in and trains Konohamaru in taijutsu and some ninjutsu. Easy like D ranks and C rank ninjutsus. I know C ranks are a little high for Konohamaru, who's not even he's about to just enroll into the academy, but still he teaches him because it is his grandson. Naruto arrives to the in the academy, and he sits next to his friends. So the middle table usually has seats for 4 people, and the outer two sides, so the left side and the right side, have seats for 3. So Naruto sits in the with Choji, Shikamaru, and Hinata, and Shino is sitting right next to them, well, basically on the right hand side, and he's like, I wish there were 5 seats there. And the teams are announced, and Naruto is with Choji and Shikamaru because Shikamaru's really smart, not the smartest. He could be the smartest, but he just thought it was a drag. And Naruto had the same scores as Ino, so they just put Naruto in the team. And Ino replaces Kiba in team 8, and Kiba replaces Naruto. So Naruto's in team 10, Ino's in team 8, and Kiba's in team 7. So now Naruto is really happy that he's with his 2 friends, but he's pretty disappointed that he couldn't be in a team of 5, which is pretty much impossible, and he knows that. But the Shino and Hinata's like, it's fine, at least us 2 are in the same team. And Ino's pretty bummed out that she's not with Sasuke, but she's really happy that she's with a friend, Ino, but at the same time she's kind of weirded out by Shino. You know, Shino, Ino, it just keeps rhyming. So this will be it for part 1 of What If Naruto Had Half Hot and Half Cold. This was my first ever scripted Naruto video, so I hope you all enjoy it. It was 42 minutes. It's actually longer than I thought. It's pretty much like a normal video for me. I'm really happy that it's 42 minutes because I know you all love long videos, and now that I have it scripted, I stutter less because I can read it off my laptop. So I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, share and subscribe. Take care, stay safe from this corona, and peace.